Josh Pais.
Hey, Marie.
Hi.
Wait, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
I just popped in.
This is kind of amazing.
It is.
So you've been on the show before, but
Yes.
not in a minute.
That's true.
And I got to say this. So y'all, my man of 22 years wrote a freaking incredible book.
What?
You've got to get. So let me just be realsies about this. So obviously, I didn't read any pages while you were writing it all, or
Right.
even after the draft came in. And then there was so much happening, parentals, all kinds of crazy shit.
Yes.
You were getting things done. So I actually didn't read it until it was like prepping for this interview. And I got to say, I was just like a little nervous because I love you and you're brilliant, but I have never really seen you write anything.
Right.
I've seen you act and perform.
So
and
basically, you were nervous because maybe it's going to suck.
No,
and then
not
you'd have
that it
to-
was going to suck.
And then you'd have to. And then you'd have to
hold
say.
on.
And then
you
you'd have
took
to.
it to a level. I was not nervous that it was going to suck, but I was just like, I don't know if my man can write, and writing's a whole different skill than everything else. However, I told you this when I got into like a few, maybe it was like 12 pages in. I was like, hot diggity damn, my man. I was like, it was a sexy turn on. I have to tell you.
Oh.
I was like,
Let's
and
keep
then
this bedside reading.
and but you did such an incredible, this is such a fresh, amazing book. And like, I knew deep down how brilliant you are, but I feel like this is a whole new, not only side of you, but your ability to communicate is amazing. So for everyone, I'm not just saying get his book because he's my man. I'm saying this book is outrageously good, and we're going to talk all about it today. So I just wanted you to hear that, and I love you so much.
Appreciate that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Take us back to the time when you were just starting acting as a career. So you had studied in London, come back, and you were starting to audition. And as you share in the book, it was disastrous. So
Yeah.
all of your actor training said that you shouldn't show up in auditions feeling anxious or nervous, and yet you were, and you're feeling like a fraud, like, holy shit, I just spent all these years training to be an actor,
Right.
and all the things that they taught me in acting school per se, and how you're showing up, it just wasn't working. You weren't booking jobs. You felt like a fraud. And I loved when you wrote that you had that 3 a.m. kind of panic attack that many of us have. Not that you had a panic attack, but you were filled with fear, and you thought to yourself, should I give up my dream of acting? And
yeah.
in that moment, you had a little flash of a memory
Yeah.
from your dad. Take us there.
Well, first, the auditions were disastrous. I was so trying to manage so much nervousness, so much anxiety, and the more I was managing it, the more I was in my head, like, can I even do this? I've made a complete wrong career choice, etc. And then, like you said, it was, one of those 3 a.m. moments. And I remembered something that my father had told me, well, really an incident with my father when I was 6. And I knew what my father did for work. Well, I saw what he did, and he had this in his office, a floor to ceiling blackboard, and he would do these squiggles on it. Sometimes he would stare at it, and he'd wipe something off, and then he would go back to it. And one day I was like, I need to get to the bottom of what this guy's job is. And I knew I grew up in, Alphabet City, New York City, very vibrant, dangerous neighborhood. And I knew what other kids' dads did, and they were bus drivers or school teachers or carpenters, just, drug dealers. There's normal, what dads did in New York City.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was like, I need to get to the bottom of what my dad does. And so I was like, what do you do? And I want to know what you do. And he looked at me and he said, do you see this table that you're sitting next to? And I was like, yes, tell me, you're not telling me what you do. And he said, do you see your knee? And I was like, yes, I see, I was like, just tell me what you do. And he said, the smallest part of that table and the smallest part of your knee are the same thing. They're atoms. And he said, that's what I explore, the building blocks of the universe. And just a little parentheses about my dad. He was a theoretical physicist who worked with Einstein for about 11 years. And he also worked with Niels Bohr. And He was in the whole
Oppenheimer,
all the big shots of the day. So flashback to me in bed, what am I going to do with my life, my career? And I started thinking, well, if my body is atoms, then quite possibly that fear, that anxiety, that nervousness that I was feeling in auditions somehow had to be connected to atoms. And I started experimenting, instead of holding this idea that I have anxiety, I have fear, I started to experiment feeling what is the actual vibrational frequency that I was feeling. The more that I experimented just feeling the actual atomic movement, in a sense, it started allowing me to step out of judgment, out of that this is bad, because it was just vibrations. And the more that I just stayed with those vibrations and just played with them and even used them as creative fuel, the more my whole creative life opened up to me. I started working. I got a job on Broadway. I started doing movies and film. And it was just using that energy that was there. It was not changing it. It was playing with it.
What I loved in the book was you were talking about, you shifted from kind of experiencing emotions in a psychological way, which is how most of us understand how to experience it, and looking at it very experientially and in a sense, atomically. And I thought that was a really great turn of phrase.
Yeah.
Because seeing emotions as vibrations, again, it's not how we're taught, but it makes a lot of sense. And obviously, you and I have been together for 22 years. We've done some work together where I've had a chance to have you walk me through, your not only philosophy, but your tools and your methods. And it's especially, I just want to give voice to those of us because there's so many of us.
Yeah.
I don't have actor training. As a dancer, I never kind of went into this world because it's a completely different modality.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm someone who's in my head and I experience like thoughts, you know what I mean? Or things. And sometimes you'll ask me, I was like, well, what are you feeling? And I'm like, well, I feel like or I feel like I'm not enough, or I feel, and you're like, that's not a feeling, or it's just like, that's a thought. And sometimes I want to punch you in the face when you say that to me. So I know. No, I know, but I'm like, I get, it's hard. So I just want to preview this for those of you who this might be kind of a new or novel approach. I can be your advocate here because it does really work, but you have to kind of pause enough to be willing to consider a whole other paradigm or lens that you may not be familiar with. And for me, even now, sometimes, if I'm really caught up in a mental drama, you will ask me a question, try and get me to identify sensations. And I'm like, I don't have sensations. I have rage, and I want to punch you, but I love you, so I don't. And, but it does really, really work. Okay. I want to ask you about what I think is one of, is built into this, the greatest myth, and how this notion of getting into the zone, in the realm of whether it's acting or it could be being an entrepreneur, or having to be on stage and speak, or doing something like this, starting a podcast or whatever, starting a business, that you have to be like confident and in the zone all the time. And that's how you're going to do your best work. Tell me about the greatest myth.
So the greatest myth of our time is the false belief that there are good emotions and bad emotions. And as long as we hold on to that myth, which is so ingrained in us since childhood, then when we feel something that we've learned is a bad emotion, typically fear, nervous, anxiety, things like sadness, we're automatically going to manage it, typically suppress it in some form. And as soon as we suppress any sensation in our body, we're signaling to our nervous system, to our body, I don't want to feel you. And as soon as we do that, and maybe we're able to reduce a sense of anxiety, maybe we are able to reduce it, but because we're alive, our attention has to go somewhere. So if we're not in here, we're going to go up here.
Meaning, for those of us not watching it, he's pointing to his head.
Yeah. So as soon as we leave our body, we go into our mind, and our mind is not our friend. Our mind comes up with the most debilitating, abusive concepts and tells them that it's us and that we're not this, we're too that, etc. What I've been experimenting with is to let go of this notion that there's good and bad, because as soon as that's active, we're going to end up in our head. And this book is about teaching how to increase your tolerance for your full range of body sensations, as opposed to trying to cut out, there's so many books like How to Get Rid of Anxiety Forever. Do you know what I mean? And all these sensations, including anxiety, it's built into our DNA. This is what being in a human body means. You're carrying around immense vibrations. And what if none of it is bad? What if it's all good? And what if it's there to pull you, to give you a charge? Like typically when anybody puts their ass in the line, puts themselves further out into the world in a podcast, in an audition, pitching something, for every single person, when they do that, there's going to be an increase in vibration. It's not bad. It's almost like your body is like, here, I'm giving you this charge to go do what you need to do. But if we associate, this kind of a vibrational frequency, we call it fear, we call it anxiety, suppress it, and then we're like, I'm no good. Oh God, what am I doing? I'm a fraud, blah, 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 blah.
Yes. I love that, because I think, first of all, it's so fresh, because we as a...
Fresh, exciting. It's so fresh.
Exciting. It is fresh because we've been taught a lot of times, I know for me, and especially in the realm of personal development, which is where I've spent the vast majority of my career, it's like kind of managing your states constantly and getting into a notion of an ideal state. And if you're not in that ideal state, well, you're f***ed until you can get there.
Yeah. And in terms of confidence, if we hold confidence as this one slice of pie of the full range of things, we're going to be disappointed most of the time.
Right.
But if we can reframe confidence as not suppressing yourself, owning exactly where you are, trusting that it's all creative fuel, and redefining confidence that way, almost like if I'm not suppressing myself, I'm confident.
Mm-hmm. And if you're telling the truth, everything is okay. And I think let's take it into the realm of acting for a minute, because I think that obviously this is where Committed Impulse, which is the body of work that you've created over the past 3-ish decades, started primarily with actors, and now it's broadened out and, includes everyone from artists, entrepreneurs, doctors, painters, chefs, everybody in the world can take advantage of it. And it's really good stuff. But tell me about how, when you did start early on in your career, especially teaching some of these ideas, how audiences check out if someone, a performer of any kind, is not being truthful in the moment.
I mean, we're hungry, especially in this era. We're hungry for experiencing someone's truth. I think that's something that we're constantly scanning for. No, not true. True.
Unconsciously.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's not necessarily even the content, but it's like that person is speaking from their soul, from their being. And it takes a lot of trust to, particularly if you're feeling one of those sensations
that you deem as bad.
We're taught you've got to hide that. You've got to push that down. But what I've been experimenting with, both as an actor and speaker and also working with thousands of people, is that when they honor what they're feeling and let go of like, oh, this is a bad, but they just like, I'm nervous and I feel a little nervous right now, but just to speak from it, it's like the audience wakes up. It's like if you pass two people on the street and they're having this intense conversation, it's so absolutely compelling because it's so real. Or I know when we go out to dinner and sometimes there'll be somebody, you know,
Yes.
a couple sitting next to us and we just go like they're on a first date. And
Yes.
everything is like, you know, it's all raw,
Yes.
but it's like, it's so interesting. It's so compelling.
Yeah. You know, I think, you know, Josh and I, we again, 22 years, we talk a lot. I think it's funny. Like some of our friends are like, how do you guys still have stuff to talk about? I'm like, first of all, it surprises us.
Yeah.
But
I have no idea.
I have no idea, but there's always more, like we have so much fun together. And I remember one time fairly recently within the past year, I told you I went out with a friend to see someone's performance kind of on the Upper East Side, someplace we rarely ever go. And this particular human is a phenomenal technical performer.
Right.
Singing, dancing, has had quite a career. And yet when I watched this particular performance, remember I told you?
Yeah.
Every single beat of it was placed, rehearsed, like, you know, and I've also told you about speakers that I've seen that are kind of in my world where I watch them give the same talk, you know, and it's like a keynote talk. So of course you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time.
Yes.
But I saw them get emotional at the same part and you know what I mean? And like touch their face. And I was just like, I wanted to shoot myself. I'm like, I want to throw up. And there is nothing worse. And with both of those particular humans, I know in my gut, they have so much more in them, meaning they're brilliant on so many levels. But I was so hungry for the real them rather than the prepared, rehearsed them. So I just wanted to say that out loud. And I also wanted to say, this was one of the other things, like I've had like little debates with you about this for myself, which was, but wait, how do I be spontaneous and in the moment, but I still have to prepare? Like I need to know my lines, or you know me, like even when I did the Oprah talk and you worked with me so much on that, it was like, dude, I needed to hit my marks because it was an 18-minute talk.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I could not afford the luxury of wandering and finding certain turns of phrases that could put me over the 18-minute mark because that's disrespectful to the producers.
Yes.
So talk to me about the kind of balance and how it works together to both be prepared, whether it's a pitch, you know what I mean? A lot of people these days, no matter what you do, you need to show up on camera or in media in some form. And how does that square with being present, spontaneous, and letting things unfold as they are?
It's like you want to have your lines down. Some people can have a sense of what they're saying, and that's fine too. But then in the moment, you need to step into the unknown, because if you step into the unknown, your audience is going to wake up because something real is happening. It feels safe, secure, but it's actually suppressed when you have everything locked down and you said, and then I'm going to do an emotional, you know, and it was a hard time, you know, that was when I, you know, found my whatever, you know. It makes sense to do it that way. There's logic to it, but it doesn't engage an audience. Right. And so you want to be fully prepared, know what you're going to say, and be open to the fluctuations that are happening and let that be your guide track. Because if you leave you, the audience is going to leave you. Yes. And it takes bravery because we're so conditioned to believe that we need to project, we need to
have it
show something, we need to show how powerful we are. But the more connected to us, the more the audience is going to connect, and that's power. Yeah. No, it's true. That's power. It's a lot. It sounds and feels a lot scarier, I think, initially. And then once you start playing with it, it does, like anything else, the more familiar you get with the unknown, ironically or not ironically. Yeah, and it's scary until it's almost you're crossing through this little thin membrane of like, I've got it locked down to, oh, wow. And then, and you're going to feel more, but it's going to be juicy. Yes. And it's just, it takes bravery, but not a lot. It's just you step into it and then, Wow.
Yes. And let's talk for a minute, because I think this is really interesting. And, sometimes you will come off of coaching calls, or, if you do a kind of a multi-hour session with someone, and
Right.
you and I talk about just what happens for people with this work. I think one of the most interesting things about what you show people how to access and the tools that you give them is these unintentional positive benefits from a health perspective. So I just want to talk about some of the costs and what are some of the negative things that we human beings can experience from your point of view when we suppress emotions. Because I don't think a lot of people realize, and me, my God, I have been I've been champion level suppressor, you know what I mean, at certain points, but I have been.
Yeah.
And it was a survival strategy, and it was what I had to do at certain points of my life,
Sure.
To get through things. But I think in more recent years, it's just you know what I mean? Have not had that suppression on myself nearly as much.
Right.
So what are some of the things, what can it cost us health-wise, mentally, emotionally, physically, when we suppress emotions and try and not experience things?
Well, first, I just want to say that the ability to suppress can sometimes, in a high-stakes situation that you might find yourself in, it can be a tool to get through something very intense in a particular moment.
Yes.
But what we don't want it to be is a lifestyle.
Right.
And typically what happens, it all comes back to the great myth. When we feel something we don't like, we suppress it, and we're basically taking this energetic pattern and we're jamming it somewhere in our body. And then we're like, and I'm fine. No, I'm fine. I'm good, yeah. And then we get into the habit of every time that sensation, which is an energetic pattern, happens, we push it down.
Yeah.
Over time, those areas become tight. They can become compressed, and they can even become painful, and maybe even lead to disease. I don't know. And the more compressed energy, these kind of lock boxes we have in our body, the more we're going to be in our head, because we can't feel our body as much because we have so much attention on suppressing and holding these areas. Mm-hmm. And what I've found is that by helping people just go into that area, and it's not a psychological process, but just to feel what's in there, things open up. And I've had, students being completely crunched up, and they're, and
one
just
shoulder's higher than the other.
Yeah, one shoulder's higher than the other. There was one guy, it was very extreme, and I was like, what do you feel? And, I just guided him to just feel the energy that was in there. And, by the end of this exercise, his shoulders became level. So this habitual suppression, because we think what we're feeling is wrong.
Yes.
It jams up the whole being. It's really unhealthy, and it decreases the ability to breathe, and it cannot be good for the body.
Yes.
To have all these lock boxes and try to, operate around them.
Right. The
but
flow
it
of
takes
energy
bravery to as I was saying,
yeah. No, it is scary. So I think one of the most important parts of the work is really making the distinction between thoughts and body sensations. Yeah. Again, going back to me getting really frustrated in so many of our conversations because it's just the truth.
Yeah.
It
keeps it spicy.
It does keep it spicy. But I also think that there are legitimately, now more than ever, millions and millions, if not billions of people just like me, who that's a really difficult thing. Anyone who tends to be type A, highly ambitious, driven, focused, goal-oriented, the distinction between thoughts and body sensations. And I thought there's a great story in your book about a client that we'll call Gloria,
right?
High-powered attorney who showed up because she kept feeling like a failure.
Yeah, she was feeling like a failure. She was saying she had imposter syndrome. And for example, when she was saying, I feel like a failure, I was like, well, what do you feel? And she was like, I feel like a failure. I just told you what I feel. And I was like,
sounds like me.
Right.
Hey.
I was like, but your body doesn't know failure. Your body can't interpret failure. So I said, what do you actually feel? And she was like, I feel anxiety. I feel frustration. And I was like, great, that's a great word, but what do you actually feel? And she was like getting more and more annoyed with me, as you've done sometimes. And then I had her like tune into the actual frequency that she was feeling, and just had her stay with that. And she was like, I don't like this. And I was like, yep. And over time, as she started to just allow herself to feel like maybe it was like a slow churning in her belly, I said, I just also want to say that she started out, she was a young attorney, always coming up in legal cases against men. And she felt like, I need to be strong. I need to be dominant. I don't want to be bullied. And so I'm going to go through. And that worked for a while. And then she started just losing case after case. And she was also completely drained in her body, and her relationship with her husband was a mess. And by starting to let herself feel more, first of all, she started gaining so much more energy, because it takes so much energy to manage and hide, if she was feeling fear, to hide it and lock it in. And it's like putting a racehorse in a small, stable. And over time she started to, and I said, try allowing yourself to feel those vibrations when you're doing cases. And she was like, that was so against everything that she had decided, to be.
And been trained to do.
And trained to do. And the interesting thing is that she started winning cases, and she said, the weirdest thing is happening when I'm doing my closing arguments to the jury. They used to check out. They used to be like almost falling asleep. And now when I allow myself to feel these vibrations, they're really listening to me. And she also said, she started having more sexy time with her husband.
Husband's like, keep working with Josh. Yeah, keep on. Do
another round with that guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But, we have to let go of these structures. And in terms of acting, 20, 30 years ago, it was all about bravura. And it was like, that was being a great actor. And at that time, that was awesome to see, somebody that was grand. But where we are now, we want a connection to whoever we're watching, to whoever we're relating to. This stuff is great if you're going on a date, because for whatever reason, we cannot tolerate those performative presentations anymore. It doesn't work. And I'm sure so many people in your audience have so much value to give. But if they're doing it locked in, it's like they're distorting their message. They're making it hard for people to hear them.
Not to mention that does not sell.
Yeah.
Meaning like,
no,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? Or connect. And when I say sell, it's not even necessarily about money in the bank, although that's true as well.
Yes.
It's also just about the connection of that idea and inspiring someone to make a change, even if they were in a nonprofit or to donate or to whatever, like inspiring someone to take action. It's like, it's like something reads false.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think too, and I know you write about this in the book, and I talk a lot about this, is like, especially with AI. Like, we don't know where it's going. We're recording this in the fall of 2025. So, no one has a crystal ball. But I know this, like, God, it feels like I can feel / sniff out, what I mean? Like, and I know AI is really good and it's going to keep getting better, but where we're at now, I am so sick of all the slop.
Yeah.
And it's just like some bullshit.
Yeah. And AI is going to strive to present human connection.
Yes.
It's going to, but there's nothing, what we have on AI is we have this being.
Yes.
And these cells and these atoms, and that is I'm going to say it's always going to be a more powerful transmission and communication form than anything that AI can come up with. And we need to, AI is great as a
tool,
a side partner, but
a side dish.
Yeah, side dish. Stay. But it's like this is our responsibility as humans in this era, is to own the fullness of our being and our aliveness.
I do think it's going to be a competitive edge too, because I know, as for myself, just looking in a very, N of one kind of situation, I am craving things, experiences, places to spend, my hard-earned money with folks who I'm just like, they are not dialing it in or AIing it in on any level. It's like, when I can feel and sense, and I think most people like, oh my God, this is real. This isn't only an experience I can get with other humans. I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah. And we have to recognize that, those little rectangular devices that were.
Oh, this thing?
Yeah.
I'm holding up my iPhone.
Yeah. That, it's obviously billions and billions of dollars are put into keeping us addicted and staring at it. But when something truthful happens, it's like, oh my God.
So much more compelling. Yeah. But also I think the thing that's true too, and these little rectangular addiction boxes really keep us in our heads and disconnected from our bodies.
Oh yeah.
And so that's another thing to just be aware of, because you really do. You feel less, and I'm putting feel in bunny kind of air quotes. You think more, which is what I want to read something that you wrote, because I thought that this was so good. I was like, ooh, my man wrote this.
Let me hear it now.
Talk about it. So feeling like a failure can occur only with the accompaniment of the mind. Similarly, the experience of guilt or envy can only exist with a story that the mind willingly curates. So not to beat a dead horse, but I think that this is really important for so many folks in my audience in particular, because a lot of y'all motherfuckers seem to be very much like me in, who can get lost in these stories.
Yeah.
And so having, the kind of narrative running like, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not producing enough. Again, I'm just revealing my own inner workings. It's like, that's a story, right?
Yes.
And it's not necessarily a bodily sensation.
It's not a bodily sensation at all. And typically we have 7 different running commentaries that they're almost like the starting point. Like, I feel like a failure. And then what your mind wants you to do is like open this giant, book that has some dust on it, and was like, oh yes, I was at 4, I spilled the paint over in paint class. And then here, and then turn the page, and all this evidence that we're a failure.
Yes. Because
our mind wants to keep us listening to it. That's how it survives.
And dominates.
And that was probably somewhere in our lineage, somebody survived by being in their head, like, I'm not going to go outside the cave. And so that's, and they survived, and that, gets passed down. But that is no longer the correct survival strategy for where we are. And I mean, take imposter syndrome, for example. Like, no, you don't have. It's not like, if it's like somebody's mind came up with imposter syndrome.
Right.
It's like, oh no, I have a syndrome. It's really, no, I have a syndrome. It's, I'm damaged. I'm really damaged. But you need to realize that all that's happening is your mind is probably going, you have imposter syndrome, blah, 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 blah. And that it's just chatter.
Yes.
It's not true, and it's not what you're feeling.
It's just chatter. It's not true.
Yes,
I think that's
it's just chatter.
it's
And
not
that's why
true.
we need, that's, the whole book, Lose Your Mind, is about how to get out of here.
Yes.
Because this is always going to tell you you suck.
Even if it doesn't at first. And I think that this is a really important point because, our minds can be seductive and it can pull you
masterful.
in with like how great you're doing.
Exactly.
How
Hey,
great.
come over here, honey. I want to sit down.
I want to give you some candy.
Yeah, I want to tell you how great you are.
Yes.
And then and you're like, oh, okay. And you kind of like settle in. Yeah,
Yes.
Go ahead. And then it's like, you're really fantastic. And then, but you do have some flaws.
Let's list them out.
Yeah, let's list them out. Like,
Let's start with the biggest one.
the biggest one is just, you're not a good person. But you're a little too old. Everyone's getting ahead. You missed the boat. You did it wrong.
You used to be at your highest. You peaked.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
That's okay.
Everyone has at least-
everybody's going down. It's all going to go downhill from here. And don't forget how old you are. You're really old.
Oh my God. That was one of the funniest parts in your book. We're going to get to that in a minute, but I want to keep going on some tools and tactics because you have
Tools and tactics
for your toolbox, baby. So
Yes.
there are 4 access points to presence.
Yes.
And the reason being present is actually important is not just because you want to be like some enlightened spiritual being. It's actually to lose your mind, to be really
Gotta get out of here.
Got to get out
It's
of that.
only abuse.
The chatterbox, even if it's sexy and
It's a
seductive.
It's a mother. It's not your friend. It is not your friend.
It is not your
and
friend.
I just want to say,
Yes.
I've been teaching this stuff, experimenting for 30 years, and every single person has the worst mind.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And I'll
The
be
most
talking.
accomplished. Like Oscar winning, like biggest awards,
Yeah.
biggest bank accounts.
I didn't really deserve it.
Yeah.
I didn't really.
Yes.
And,
yes.
I'll sometimes in class, like
Yes.
I'll be talking about this stuff, and then on a break, somebody will come up to me and they'll be like, yeah, like I know what you're talking about, but my mind is the worst. I have it worse than everyone else. Do you know what I mean?
The I Have It Worse Olympics.
Yeah.
A lot of people love to compete
Okay,
in
but
that.
carry on.
Okay, carry on. So 4 access points to being present.
Okay.
Take us fairly quickly. through
Fairly
them.
quickly,
Yes.
not a 2-hour.
No, not a 2-hour thing.
Okay. And there's no order to these, but these 100% of the time will bring you into the present moment. Bam!
Oh.
Okay. One is, since we've already been talking about, is to feel the sensation in your body. Like literally feel what's vibrating, what's lifting, what's pushing down, what's expanding, and just feel what's happening vibrationally. The next is to connect to your immediate environment.
Like Mackenzie over there running the cameras in the back show.
Hey,
or
Mackenzie.
this light.
So look at the microphone, but to see it how a dog or a baby might see it, meaning not like, oh, I know what that wire does, that must connect to that, but literally seeing in terms of color, shape, texture, lightness, and darkness. And when you do that, it's like everything starts to settle. This becomes quieter. I don't want to say this becomes quieter because then it'll be like, no, I'm still here, baby.
And
Okay.
this, he's saying the mind for those of you listening to the podcast only.
So feeling the body, connecting to your immediate environment, whatever it may be, and seeing it exactly as it is. Another one is breath. Typically or often people use their breath to get rid of what they're feeling. But you want to experiment to breathe. It's almost like you're putting gasoline on the embers of vibration and sensation in your body. So you want to breathe to feel. You want to feel what that's generating. You want to connect to your immediate environment exactly as it is. And then with those 3 points, even still, your mind is going to pop in from time to time and go like, why do that? And so there's a period
I'm bored.
right. Yeah. let's go eat. Yeah. And so, but you're so fat. So there's a period of time when we don't know that our mind has just taken us on this
journey, shopping trip.
Yeah, you're like in one store, but you're like, well, I wonder what's at the other store. And then there's a moment that you realize that your mind has just taken you. And then as soon as you realize that, you say, I'm back.
I'm back.
I'm back. And in my classes, it's like anytime somebody checks out, say I'm back. And it's not an interruption because we're just trying to get where we are.
Yeah.
But it's such a mighty combination. And the key thing is to use I'm back. And the more you come back and return to what's real, the more you're building the muscle to stay here. And the more that you, in the beginning, you're going to be like, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back. But the more you do it, the more you're going to just be connected. You're going to be here. You're going to be in your body. You're going to really see what's in front of you. And then when your mind does catch you, you'll be able to come right back. And that may, from your mind's point of view, if you're just in that seemingly amorphous place, your mind will tell you, but you're going to up. You don't know what you're doing.
You're directionless.
I've got the plan. Don't forget about me. But that's where those 4 access points, they open the creative channel and they get you operating in such aliveness, spontaneity, presence. It's just it's fucking delicious.
Yes. And I think, when I was reading, I want you to tell the story about what Robert De Niro taught you about listening in your early days, because I think that can be another tool. Not one of the 4 official access points, but I think it is another pathway in there. It
is, absolutely. Yeah, the very first movie I did was with this gentleman named Robert De Niro.
May have heard of him.
My absolute hero is, for so many actors, particularly my age, starting out, it was like Robert De Niro. And so I was doing, I had a couple scenes with him. And prior to that, I had just been working in basement, East Village theaters where you had to speak loud enough, so the boiler, didn't take a, and there was only like, 10 rows, but it was always like, speak loud enough for the back row, And so, I started doing this scene and, there was, a whole crew in front of me. Craft service was maybe 40 feet away. And he would say a line to me. And I was like, well, that's a great idea, and and then he would just talk right to me and I would like, yes, I think that's good. And, and slowly over time, that situation shifted from an amateur and a master to 2 people talking to each other. And that's, that was a big lesson, to just have the bravery to listen. Because when you fully listen, you're stepping into the unknown. And that's something that we need to increase our tolerance for, because the truth is, we don't know. We don't know what we're going to feel. We don't know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. But if you can step into that and receive and allow a kinetic dance to happen, it's like then you're operating at your optimal.
Yes.
And he taught me to listen, and I started just speaking to him, and I could see the director like go, okay, the scene's going to be okay. It's like, he was like, holy, who did I hire? But it was like, it was profound just to, be in a high pressure situation and surrender to the moment.
And I love that he said you could call him Bob.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
I was like,
and I was
call
like,
him Bob.
Okay, Bob. But it was a great starting of my movie career.
Yeah, really special. Let's talk fear. And I love that, you teach that what we feel in the moment is always perfect, even if it's something called fear or being
Yeah.
afraid. And, you and I in our lives, we're always kind of trying to delve into new worlds. So first, how can someone use the idea that when they're afraid, it's okay, even when they have everything on the line? And then I cannot believe that you wrote our song in the book. I read that. I was like, oh, he shared one of our like little private things, and maybe we'll sing the song for people because it really does work.
Okay.
It's like a magic song. So fear.
Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of fear, totally natural, totally in your human design. For as long as you're in a human body, you're going to feel fear. And who knows, maybe 100 years from now, you're going to be floating around up there and you're going to be like, oh, fear. I miss fear. I remember fear. Now I'm just, So it's juice. It's just juice. It's just vibration. It's good. It's so good. It's so, if you like use your fear, it's like, it's mighty. If you suppress your fear, nobody cares. Nobody wants to see you manage yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless you're having a certain kind of meltdown in which you do need to manage yourself. But that's another conversation.
Well, depends where you are.
Yeah, that's true. Context matters.
No, but we don't want it to be a lifestyle, as I said before.
Yes.
Like, I have this tool. I can shut it down as needed.
Yes.
But I'm not going to do that every day, every moment, which is what a lot of people get caught up in.
Yes. So our song.
Yes.
Do you want to tell people about what it is and how and why we created it?
This came out of
Okay,
I think we were in our well, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I don't think I've ever talked about this on the show, but like that you and I, we come up with songs all the time. And we started recording them. I'm not going to play any of those. That's like the private collection.
Right.
But we're pretty good.
For $9.95, you can get these songs.
They're amazing.
Go to Marie Forleo /song.
Do you know, I think I told you this. I'm sure my mother told you this at some point, that like as a kid, I would write songs and my dad had given me like a Casio and I like rapped, you know what I mean? Recorded it on a cassette.
Yeah.
And you're pulling from my life, like my brother working in the car wash, my desire to bring a McDonald's hamburger into the Chinese food restaurant. Like I was smuggling.
Do you want to
No, we're not going to go back to any of those. Okay. However, but I do think that our song, because it is really helpful. I think it's a really helpful song. And keep going. Did we make it up in the kitchen?
I think we were in the kitchen.
Yes.
And we were, I think both of us were stepping into something new. I might have been going into either teaching a weekend workshop, or I was doing about to start a movie, a kind of a big project. And you were maybe it was like when you were writing your book and you were like, I was a mess. Are you kidding me? I was on the struggle bus. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Step by step.
This is how we do it, step by step. Of course it's scary. Step by step. This is how we do it, step by step. Of course it's scary.
I know that sounds, it's like we should, whatever. But it fucking works.
It does.
The step-by-step song.
It's like the more we step out, the more we step out into something new, expand. Yes. Of course it's scary.
Yeah.
But of course.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Of course it's scary.
No, it's a really good, again, you only need to memorize 2 lines.
Yeah.
Like that's it. And then you can say it anywhere at any time. And we do it because we make, especially me, like a lot of new decisions. I'm like, I have no idea how this one's going to turn out. And it's like, it's scary.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Okay, so this was great. I thought you did a really good job at titling some of your chapters. So well done, you.
Well,
and I will take just a smidget of credit because I think not because you asked me anything, but I feel like all of my marketing speak over the years, maybe some of it led on through.
Absolutely.
Just a tiny morsel.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
can we do ASMR for the rest of it?
We could.
Okay. So what did you want to ask me about my book?
The next one I want to talk about is
yes, Marie.
How to improve your thoughts and the notion of the motorcycle helmet. So you worked with thousands of people.
Thousands.
What are some of the most common toxic thoughts we have? And
I mean,
how do you shut them down?
We touched on some of them.
Yes.
I'm not good enough. I'm too this. I missed the boat. I screwed up 3 years ago, and now my life is blah, blah, blah. Why are they getting ahead?
Yes.
So our mind would love us to go into our mind and go like, yeah, I've got to really, no, I am good, and to really get lost deeper into our mind.
Yes.
And the notion that I have is like almost as if you had a motorcycle helmet on with speakers going like, you're no good, you suck, and instead of trying to undo the mind, it's literally like take the helmet off, put it in the closet, and it's like, oh wow, there's a whole new world. There's a whole life out here.
Yes.
It's like, and it takes bravery to not listen to the chatter.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like going to have coffee with an abusive friend. Do you know what I mean? Over and every day. It's like,
at some point,
I'm going to have my morning coffee. Not that good. Come on.
Yeah. Take the motorcycle helmet
Come
off.
back. Say I'm back.
I think it's a really good analogy. It's also a really good visual. You know what I mean? And
thank you, Marie.
You're so welcome. And the next thing I want you to speak into, Mr. Pais.
Yes, Marie.
As a society, we've trained ourselves to dread fear and feeling nervous. And you say there's actually a super fast and easy way to relieve it. So tell me about the story of trapping pigeons and the 7 to 12 second rule. Okay.
Well, I grew up in Alphabet City in New York City, very dangerous, wild, creative, drug-induced neighborhood. And there were a couple kids on the block. They lived in a squatter's building, which was an abandoned building that people moved into. And on their roof, they had homing pigeons, which were just street pigeons. But then you put them up there, and then they would all fly in a flock. And so, but these two kids, they could go really close up to a pigeon, like it was masterful. It was ninja. And they would see the pigeon, and then they would grab it, and they'd put it under their shirt, and they would walk through their neighborhood, with their, like this. And I started to think like that's what happens when we, if we're trying to suppress something, it's like, yeah, how you doing? No, things are going great for me.
For the podcast, for anyone just
I'm pounding
listening.
my shirt, flipping my shirt. And what I've found is that if you fully let yourself feel what's there, even if it's intense fear, if you breathe to feel it, you stay connected to your immediate environment, yes, it's going to be intense, but it's going to last about 7 to 12 seconds. Any sensation that you fully allow, invite to be there, it's going to do its thing, and then it's going to move to the next sensation, the next sensation, and the next sensation, and that needs to be your guide track, not this.
Yes.
And you need to know it will move through. The only caveat to that is if you've spent a life of suppressing fear
or sadness any
or
emotion.
Whatever.
Yep.
You're going to have to feel it a little bit longer, and then it's just going to flush through and flush through and flush through. Can I just say one thing about sadness?
Yeah.
Like that used to be something that I really held as bad. And even with sadness, when I started to let myself feel the energetic pattern of it, there's something beautiful and poetic about it. It's almost like the body is slowing down. And it's so rich. It'll even affect the way you see. You can sometimes see in more detail. And so even sadness it's juicy, it's rich. And if you fully let yourself feel it, it's going to have its life, and then it's going to move on to something else and something else and something else. And that's, from my point of view, that's being alive. Mm-hmm. And that's what people are craving from you.
Mm-hmm. I have a question. You might know this already, but...
Oh, I do.
Oh, wow. Okay. So much confidence. Creative Invincibility.
Yeah.
It's got the same letters as CI.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you didn't know it. You're like, oh, did you?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to say that for you. I had no idea.
Oh,
You're so
how
smart.
much you love. See, that's all it takes.
You're the smartest.
Oh, wow.
And the cutest.
Oh, look at this. Do you guys know sometimes, Joshy, in fact, last night you left me a nice little note just telling me how cute I was. And I was like, well, that felt really good.
And did you see the second part of the note?
Wait, what did it say?
I said,
sure
you're the cutest. And I think I said something like, for a smart girl. I said, for a smart girl, you're really cute.
You're funny. Okay. Anything else that you want people to know? Oh, there's something I want people to know. I actually think you did something really smart, and I'm so happy that you did this. A lot of what committed impulse is, again, when we are brave enough to lose our minds and really inhabit our bodies and be willing to take the ride of being fully alive. You have such a wonderful ability to guide people through it.
Yeah.
And throughout the book, you've got some awesome free audios and meditations that walk people through exercises.
Yes.
So y'all get your little pause on the book.
Yeah.
Make sure that you get the book for you and those you love, and get some of these exercises, because Josh is a brilliant, brilliant teacher. And again, you did a I'm not just blowing smoke, because you know I wouldn't.
It's true.
It's true. No, I'm brutally.
Sometimes like, can't you blow a little smoke?
No, but you love me. I think you
do.
love me because you know you're always going to
I can count on you being straight
like
up.
as much honesty and truth as like my truth. It may not be the truth with a capital T, because nothing is, but you know you will get my perspective.
Yeah.
And I say that because the book is phenomenal, and you've done such a good job to translate what is often work that is experiential and physical in nature, and also interactive in nature, meaning there's so much dialogue between people. But I think people having access to those audios, which are free, but you just got to get the book so you can do the QR code and get everything and download it. So thank you for creating that, because it's going to make such a huge difference to so many people. Is there anything else that you want people to know about the power of losing your mind? Oh, by the way, when does the billboards go up? Josh has got these really sassy ass billboards that, I don't know, some
marketer may have added some insight
some little
to.
Marketing maven may have written the copy.
September 30th, they go up in Los Angeles, and then throughout New York City. There's going to be a bunch of other posters.
Okay, cool. So if any of y'all find yourselves in New York or LA over the next little bit of time, and you see any of these posters, please snap a photo, tag us, so we can give you a little love there. It's awesome. But anything else that you want to say before? I want you to read a bit at the end of the book.
Oh, okay. I just want to say that your creativity is there for a reason. All the problems, all the issues in the world are solvable, because if we all use access to our creativity, scientists, artists, creators, podcasters, and are creating and using our creativity, it's like the world will, a lot of the things that are going on, the environmentally, etc. It's like we need to access our creativity now. We can't spend our lives listening to how we're not good enough, because it's not true. It's just this little chatterbox is limited. And I just want to say one other thing about that. When your mind starts telling you stuff, instead of getting lost in the content, let it be a reminder that you're barely breathing, you're not feeling your body, and you're not seeing what's in front of you. Instead of getting lost in the content, no one is going, it's like, oh, I need to take a breath, be in here, and reconnect to what's real.
So it is now time for you to read.
Oh, yes, you've chosen the section for me.
I've chosen the section.
I don't know what section it is. I mean,
I
know you marked it, yeah.
Because I'm organized like that.
This chick is organized.
Come on, you love it.
I'm telling you. Okay, this is page 278. Please all turn to page 278. This is your time. There is a wise leader in you that is yearning to make this an even better world. And you are well on your way toward doing that, whether your mind tells you so or not. This is your time. You're supposed to be here. Your creative impulses are there to be honored. You now know how to access your presence. It's always the perfect starting place to make whatever it is that you choose to make. Don't underestimate, this is going to sound like a coffee mug, the gift of your presence. And don't wait for your mind to give you the green light to move ahead. At times it will, at times it won't. You no longer need to give your power away to the chatterbox. Lose your mind until it finds you, then lose it again. Bringing your presence into your art, business, and relationships is going to have a beautiful impact on the world. The seemingly smallest of interactions, led by your presence, will reverberate outward in miraculous ways. Your presence is contagious, and it's gonna light people up.
That made me cry yesterday. It makes me cry today. You did such a phenomenal job. Look at that handsome man. Very good. Joshie, thank you so much. Thank you for being you. I love you more than anything in the world. Congratulations. This is a really, really, really great thing that you did.
Thank you.
If you love this episode with Josh, then you are going to really love this episode with my friend, Dr. Joe Dispenza. It's all about creating abundance from the inside out. So go ahead, click, and watch that now.